All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and model what this looks like on Evaluate. So I have this up here for you to review to remind yourself what an even number is and what an odd number is. So remember, evens, when you divide into two groups, there's not any left over, right? Like 4, right, you have 2 and 2. But when you had, let's say 5, right, you have 2 and 2, and this one's by itself. Okay, so let's look here. It says, Adam wants to determine if there is a pattern when multiplying by a number by 6. Use the multiplication table. So this is different than a number grid. This is like 2 times 2, and you realize that's 4. Okay, it says use multiplication to find the pattern. So I'm trying to find times 6's. So I'm going to look for times 6's. So here all the way down is going to be times 6. And I could also do that here. It's going to be the same numbers. Okay, so you can do either way. You don't have to find 6 times 6 here. We're looking at all the times 6's. So 6 times 0 is 0, and 6, 12, 18. So this wants to say there's no pattern. The product is even, odd, like going back and forth. The product is always odd, or it's always even. So even, I remember, are like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then it continues 12. Odds would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so on. So let's look. Okay, 0, that's even. So I'm going to put any number that's even this color. So this is even. 6, that's even. 12, that ends in 2, that's even. 18, well, that ends in 8, so that's even. 24, that ends in 4, that's even. 30, 0, so that's even. 6, 2, 8, 4, 0, 6, 2. Well, these were all even. Okay, there weren't any that were odd. So I have to think that the pattern here, when I multiply times 6, there's definitely a pattern, so that one doesn't make sense. It never even had odd, so I can't say it's even odd. There were no odds, so I can't say that. So it was always even. Okay, so how did I know that it was always even? Did I just make a guess? No, right? I actually looked here on the number grid, on our multiplication table here, and I looked to see if each number was even or odd. And I chose to do a color. So if one was odd, I could have said, okay, that one was even, this one was odd, that one was even, this one was odd. Okay, if that would have fit this even, odd, but it didn't fit that pattern, so I didn't do that. But that's one way that you could do that if you did see an odd number, okay, or something that went back and forth. So I'm going to have you guys look through here and practice in your book. So I want you to find some of these rules. So this is in your book, okay, and I want you to figure out the odd and even numbers. I want you to tell the difference between them. Show that you can multiply 2 even numbers, show you can multiply 2 odd numbers, and that you can explain the pattern when doing that. So I want you to write this information here as always on the computer. Okay, so I've given you this reminder, okay, here. So here are some examples. So you just have to come up with 2 numbers. Like they chose 2 and 8. Those are both even factors, and they wrote down the answer. You could do 4 times 6 or 10 times 2, okay? 2 odd factors. You just have to pick 2 odd numbers. You could do 1 times 1. You could do 1 times 9, okay? You choose. And then go back and forth and do 1 even, 1 odd. Like you can do 1 times 2 or 3 times 4. Okay, and then figure out what is the product. What's the answer to those? And you're going to use this information here to help you answer these questions about it. So if you're multiplying even times even, is the answer odd or even? What did you find out from here? Okay, for number 2, it says when you're multiplying odd times odd, was the answer always odd? Was it always even? Did it go back and forth? I don't know. So this is for number 1, looking at the evens. For number 2, you're looking at the odds. Number 3, it says, what if one's odd and one's even? So you're looking here, what pattern did you notice? Then, as a can-do, you can look at this picture, and it says, Dolores thinks whenever she multiplies an odd number times an even number, the product will be even. She drew this picture of 3 times 6. So she has 3 rows with 6 in each. And she said she split it in half here. And she said the answer is always going to be even. Okay, 3 times 6. Okay, so I'm a little confused by this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 3 times 3 and 3 times 3. But go ahead and look here and explain how her picture shows why this product is even. Okay, so an odd number is 3, and the even number is 6. Okay, so she's trying to show by splitting it in half, okay, that it is even. So kind of explain that a little bit better than this picture is showing you. And then here is an evaluate connection, okay, where it says Helena is trying to determine if a pattern when multiplying an even number and an odd number together, okay, what would it be? So look back up here and see odds and evens. This was a question on evaluate. Is the product always even? Is it always odd? Does it go back and forth? It could be either one, or an even number and an odd number cannot be multiplied together. And then here is another extension you could do where you look at this sum, which means adding. When you add the numbers, what could happen? And here's an extra extension. Oh my goodness, so many extensions today. Okay, looking at these patterns and then explaining what happens. Okay, and then I want you to look at, just like my model, I did times 6s with one of the questions. Okay, here I want you to figure out, what about times 5s? What will the pattern be? Okay, write it down, show your work of how you know this, and write your answer here, A, B, C, or D. Okay, that's what I need you to write here on the answer line. You can circle it, and then you can just write it here, and then explain how you know your answer is correct. And as always, you can reflect, and here's a little practice if you would like some more with finding patterns. This is a really good one to know, a really good lesson, so that when you do solve it, you can check, does my answer make sense? All right, have a great day. If you guys have any questions, let me know.